Okay, so we're we're a couple of minutes early. I'm just trying to get all the stuff ready to go. So as soon as anyone joins, well, actually, whenever you guys are ready to join is fine. Most of you will probably watch this later down the road, so you might have to fast forward for the first, I don't know, 5 minutes. I'm gonna get myself situated, and the only way sometimes for me to know what I'm doing is to actually look on here and my tablet, so I apologize for a minute. After you jump on, say hi. So I want to see who's on here. I want to see if there's people from different places, so let me know where you're tuning in from. I'm gonna give you guys a couple of minutes because I know I said 6 o'clock. I have to make sure from. I'm gonna make sure to mute myself here. All right. You're just, hi Patty. Oh, I'm so excited you're here. Hi Delisa. Okay, so I'm just taking a few minutes to get myself situated. And Reagan and I, oh, awesome. I'm so excited. So I'm glad you guys are together. I specifically said that this was for adults. So if there's kids tuning in too, I'm not going to say there's anything wrong with that, but this is my date night. So I know some of you guys, I'm trying to keep this positive. Most of us parents have been stuck at home with our kids all week long, and it is not a complaint. I have been super happy to have a chance to bond with my son. We went and picked up seashells and have had so many wonderful experiences being outside. But I'm ready for a Friday night. So I am so excited that my husband's decided to join me today. So he actually took time away from work to be here. So those of you that have never met him, this is Anthony. Welcome.
Thank you. Very happy to be here. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
So we're gonna make this a fun kind of date night, and I'm gonna apologize right now because I have this jimmy rigged for my videos that I do, recording videos to be able to post and to send out the paint crates, but I've never done it on one singular camera, and so I have to apologize right now. I'm gonna have to finagle this so that it's facing downwards so you can see our canvases. I could not figure out, he's my computer guy, but he hasn't been here. So with this blessing of being able to be at home, I have kind of had to, please don't sip that. That is paint water.
You don't know me.
It's been a while. Ooh, here, I'll give you something to do. So I did say have your liquid courage, and those of you that have never had the pleasure of painting with Anthony, you don't know that this is like juice to him. Usually he sticks to bourbon, so we may transition to that at halfway point. I don't know.
Depends on how what this looks like.
I honestly don't know. This is Open Road, so I wanted to do my own shout out to myself here. Open Road from Windrose. If you guys are in Sequim or on the peninsula, this is a local winemaker that makes their own wine, and they bless them. They bought one of my paintings and they put it on their bottle as a label. So if you're local, make sure to pick it up. And as far as I understand, I'm going to give a quick shout out to David, who's the owner. Oh, okay, Open Road. Oh, there's a way to rotate that so they can actually see it. Anyway, so a quick shout out to Windrose. He, I think, has offered to do deliveries, so you have a minimum requirement to how many bottles you purchase, because they've got a couple of different types of wines, but if you make a minimum purchase, he'll deliver it to you with like snacks and charcuterie. I don't know, but he had posted that a while ago, so I wanted to throw that out there for anyone that needs that liquid courage and doesn't have it. That's an option for you guys. If you're watching this, especially later on, watermelon margaritas. You know, I had this moment. I posted that earlier. I said snacks and I said tacos because that's the first thing that comes to mind when someone says snacks. I did make a charcuterie tray, and at some point it was like fruit snacks and Ritz crackers because I've been living at home with kids, and so I'm like, I don't know what we have for snacks. Peanuts? Oh yeah, I know. We've been quarantined too. I'm super excited you guys are tuning in. Thanks, Jennifer.
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I interrupting?
So this is going to be our date night. I really am happy that some of you are tuning in. I'm going to apologize. I try to censor myself. I'm usually pretty good and family friendly, but we have.
Well, I make no such promises, so
we haven't
beware.
seen each other. So it's one of those things, we're getting together and we're going to have fun. So Those of you tuning in, I hope you guys have fun too, and if not, laugh along with us, because we're all in this together. Most of us are stuck at home or have been for a long time and are ready for some entertainment. Okay.
Step 1.
Sip.
Pour.
Oh, pour. Sorry. That's right.
Step 2.
I don't even know my own company. Sip. Oh, no, I gotta wait. These glasses have no gratification for me. Those of you that don't do the Paint Crate, Brittany and I, she tuned in with me and we did a recording together for an instructional video, and I realized, I'm like, oh yay, we get to like clink. There's no clink. So, clink.
Clinky. Now we drinky.
Now we drink. That's good. All right, so as the business title says, you pour, then you sip, and then you paint. So I suppose at some point, so Marcus is tuning in. We haven't seen him in ages.
Hey, Marcus! Long time, brother. Long time.
I'm so excited to be here. So my name is Natalie. Those of you that have never done this with me before, I own and operate this paint and sip company where I'm a mobile service, so I kind of travel all over the peninsula and Kitsap County and teach classes and like to have fun. Anthony here, he's got a day job, but every now and then he comes and assists over at Clearwater Casino, and we have a big show, and more than anything, I just like looking like Britney Spears. They give me a mic, put me on stage, and I teach. It's fun. So I've been isolated and have been away from people, so I thought, what better way to get back in it than to just hop on here and paint. I was supposed to have a class tonight, so my huge apologies to all of my students that were really looking forward to the Rain Shadow paint night. I don't know if Otis back there. You can actually see it. This is the painting we were going to do. It is not canceled. So I had a couple of people say, oh, can we do the canceled one? It is not canceled. It is rescheduled. It is rescheduled for April 17th. It's the third Friday in April at Rain Shadow Cafe in Sequim. We're also doing this one at Clearwater. Theirs has been postponed. I just saw the update. So as an FYI, those of you that are signing up for that one, depending on how everything goes, that one is going to be postponed too. So we'll try to get new dates as soon as we know. And for sure, if you can't make it to April 17th, I had already emailed everyone that was registered. So if that's the case, this is going to have a couple of runs. So we'll do it a few times at a couple of different locations. I know I completely didn't even say what we're painting because I'm gonna wing it. I don't even know. We're gonna paint something. And the idea of cherry blossoms, you can see I've got another painting right here, cherry blossoms. That one's cherry blossoms. This one's tulips. So I'm on a spring craze. So we're gonna do something spring-y. And as we were having a picnic at lunchtime today, Lexi, thank you. I forgot to say this. In the link, right as when the video is up, there is a virtual tip jar. So those of you that know me, you know that this is my main income source. This is all I do, and I've been stuck at home and I haven't been able to have classes. So I'm trying to find other means to provide a painting service for you. And if you are willing to or are able to, anything helps. So there's a virtual tip jar. It's through PayPal. You don't have to have a PayPal account. You can just log in there, use a credit card, pay debit card, whatever. But anything helps. I don't even care if it's nothing. Tune in. This is free. I'm not charging you guys anything. I just wanted an excuse. But there is a link. So if you are, I don't want to say it's up here, but it kind of depends. If you do it after, it's fine too. I just appreciate you guys being here. What was I saying? We were talking about the painting. So we were having lunch outside, and I love the fact that spring is here. It has been so beautiful, and everything to me screams spring when cherry blossoms are blooming. So one thing I absolutely loved as a kid is I lived in Portland, and this time of year, I know one of our kiddos goes to Western, and they have their trees, and they have their cherry blossom trees, and they're discouraging people from going and taking photos. This is like the one time of the year that everyone does that. Same thing in Portland. There's a couple of areas that I know are publicly known for cherry blossom trees, and they're kind of not available. So I wanted to give this as an opportunity for you guys. What does it look like when you're just laying in the grass or looking up at the sky and all these cherry blossoms that are everywhere? That's kind of the idea for the painting, so we're going to play with that in mind. I'm going to leave it to you guys to kind of make your own interpretations of what you want to do. As always, you are welcome to take this as a moment to just sit and sip and watch. You do not have to paint. I think that's what Anthony's here for. It was just like, wine, I'll show up. There's wine.
Kind of what I'm planning to do here. I think mine's about as good as that's going to get. So, hey.
I don't care.
We'll just sit and watch.
That's fine too. So the idea was I wanted to keep the palette simple. I had posted this is kind of me stalling, so those of you that are not quite ready, the things that you're going to need. I have my palettes, and I'll try to rotate the camera here in a minute. I've got on my palette, I have white, I have yellow, I have red, I have blue, and I have black. It does not matter what brand you're using. I'm just saying whatever you've got on hand. I kept primary colors because in case you couldn't find what you were looking for, you have to tap into your 5-year-old's, paints that they don't ever use. Use that, whatever you have on hand. Primary colors, we're going to mix a couple that will still be able to accomplish whatever it is. Patty says that was beautiful, so even what you've got going on is beautiful.
No, she says beautiful, Anthony. Thank you, sweetheart. I do a lot of work. It takes quite a bit of effort to keep this up, but I appreciate you noticing.
So the palette, it doesn't really make a difference. If you've got some colors that you're really partial to, that if you've taken classes with me, you know my favorite, so you can go with whatever you've got on hand. Paintbrushes, I got 3 brushes, okay? All you got, Anthony's got 3 brushes, I've got 3 brushes. As long as you have a flat brush, one that's big, it doesn't matter. This one's rounded, so I said flat. This one's got, it's not flat, but it's big. And as long as you're able to have a big enough brush that you can paint over a large surface fairly quickly, that's all that matters. Brandy, hi, miss you, love you. I was supposed to be in Portland this weekend and got canceled, but anyway. And then I've got 2 round brushes. So again, same stuff we have in class. Usually if you don't do the classes, this is what we have. Usually a flat brush that's big for background, a medium kind of round brush. So I think this is a number 6 size that I posted on there. Not necessarily in my set that I sell, just in general. It's a fairly kind of larger round brush. And then you just want a detail brush. And this one doesn't matter. If you've got an itty bitty teeny tiny one, I mean, I have a million of them around here. Doesn't matter if it's big or small. I just needed this as an option.
That's what you said.
My other thing that I had mentioned that I forgot to grab was a sponge. You don't have to have a sponge. That was more just for the technique, and I'll probably have Anthony grab one here in a minute. But a sponge and a toothbrush, an old toothbrush. Please don't use the one that you're planning on brushing your teeth with later. A toothbrush. An old one. If you don't have a toothbrush that you can use for this either, no big deal. I'll show you another technique. You can use a regular paintbrush. Wow, we've got 57 viewers. I'm so excited. Thank you guys so much for being here. I'm going to try to keep it short, but I will tell you now, make sure your kids have a long movie ready, because we're going to be here for about an hour to 15, an hour and a half maybe. I just need extra time of quiet time to sip. So if we're here longer, you can just, tune out. But I am so ready to do this.
So here's a fun little game for you guys at home. Natalie totally doesn't know I'm saying this, but every time we see one of those little cha-ching, cha-chings.
Oh, clink. Oh, no. Clink. Oh, how much am I going to be drinking? This will be fun.
That depends on what the viewers want to watch, I think. So,
okay. So every time there's a tip, I get to sip. How much do I have to sip? Luckily, we're not doing shots. So those of you...
Let's go.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
This does tell us when they, do something, doesn't it?
Yes,
okay,
it will. It will notify me as the payments are coming through for anyone that's doing a tip jar. It will notify me on top. So if that's happening, that's how we get to know. So for Lexi's donation, that was our sip. I'll try to keep sipping. Okay, so bear with me. I'm sorry. I have to rotate the camera, so it's going to be a little shaky. And if you can let me know here how this goes.
Okay.
I'm going to walk around.
You're going to walk around?
I'm going to walk around. It's a little bit easier.
Want me just to pull it down? Okay.
It won't pull down.
Oh.
Right. And can you push the rotate button?
What's the rotate button?
The one that rotates. Never mind. I'll do it.
I can't see what you're talking about.
I'll do it.
Oh, you mean rotate the other camera?
Yep.
Okay, well, yeah, that's...
Okay, now you get to see our charcuterie tray here, and bear with me. No. Hold on. We're good.
Go.
I will. I just needed to... Okay. Tell me when. Oh, you can do it. Bear with us. It'll take a minute.
You can see it right through
Oh,
there.
I don't want the charcuterie tray.
You said you wanted the charcuterie tray.
No,
Okay.
I need our canvases.
Okay.
Okay.
There we go.
Bear with me. One more second. I've got this. I just have to... Again, I usually have 2 cameras to do this properly, and instead we've got 1. I'm sorry. All right. I think we got this. Pardon my hand.
Woohoo. We're looking good. Yeah. Look down here.
I am.
Good.
All right. So you can see my hand. We're good to go, and we're going to rotate. All right. So here's how we're going to do this. You have the option, if you still love your partner, as usual, you have the option of painting portrait style. So when you're painting, you know, your main rotation is going to be this way. You can rotate your canvas and go landscape, which will extend your picture. It's going to extend beyond what we can get in our camera, so I apologize for that part. But for you guys, if you want to go this direction, when you hang it, it'll just be a little bit bigger, okay? Otherwise, I'm going to paint this direction. And again, if you are painting with your spouse or with your kiddo or whatever, line them up so you can divide your picture in half. And what essentially you'll end up doing is each of you is going to paint 1 half. So in my image here, I am going to paint like 2 branches coming in here, and with my sun peeking in through the middle, which is again similar to our little road picture that we were going to do, but it'll be branches instead of a road. It'll just be a little bit simplified of a version. So I'm going to keep it this direction, just so you know. I've got my palette, so those of you that can't quite see, I've got my palette.
Thank you, Patricia.
Thank you so much. Oh, we're supposed to clink. No, clink, clink. Clink. Okay. I have to turn on the comments in here.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't done that yet.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. All right, so one of the things that I want to make sure that you guys can see is my palette. Like I mentioned, I have my white, I have yellow, I have red, and this is ultramarine blue, but if you have a different, the screen probably will freeze occasionally depending on your connection, so that's not necessarily something we can do. If you find that happens, just, you know, hang tight. I'll try to repeat myself a couple times if that happens, but ultramarine blue and then regular old black. I don't have any specific colors in mind. I am going to move.
I'm helping.
I'm going to move this out of the way just so that I don't accidentally get it on my canvas. Anthony has his own palette over there, so we're not sharing. Luckily, he's a lefty, so I think I set this up right for you. I do have a cup of water, so for you guys at home, I've got a paper towel, I've got my cup of water, I've got my paintbrushes. This is usually how I set my station up. We're kind of close in here. So is that L for loser? I'm sorry, I just noticed that you did that. So as I'm coming through, I'm going to be able to get in here and we're going to work across 2 canvases together, theoretically. But the thought will work either way. If you're doing this by yourself, you can just as well rotate this canvas lengthwise. This is an 11 by 14. Again, I said that in our little supply list, so 11 by 14. But if you have a larger canvas, that's totally fine. If you have an old canvas, you may have to take a quick pause and paint over the original. So if you've got an old one you're reusing, I had mentioned, I had a question about reusing. We do some of those repurpose classes, so you can mix some white with some black to make like a gray base and just paint over that original painting. And then hair dry it so it's nice and secure, and you can, in theory, still replicate it with an old canvas. It's totally fine. You don't have to have anything else set up for that. So just kind of wanted to give you guys that little tip. You are welcome to work through it however you decide. So couple of basics. Water's your friend, so you're always going to be dipping your brush into your water, and then beyond that you're going to bring that into your actual paint. You don't want to just dip and go back and go straight to your canvas. You want to make sure you're mixing the 2 together, so that way it doesn't run. Because we're not using easels, it's not going to have nearly as much of a problem, but you will find that you'll have puddles. Since it's flat, you'll have some areas that'll puddle a little bit. Best way to overcome it, add a little bit more paint, you're good to go. Now, I'm going to do a sky. I have my ultramarine blue. This is a very, very bright color, so I'm only going to need a tiny, tiny little bit of paint. Mostly we're going to use whites, and I may have to reload my white. So what I'm gonna start, we're just gonna dive right in. I'm gonna start dipping my flat brush, or your biggest brush that you have. You're gonna dip it into some water. You're gonna bring that water into your white, and I'm gonna load both sides here. I think you guys can kind of see me do this. I have an iPad set up so I can watch myself do this, but it's got a slight delay. So if I don't answer questions right away, that's why. I'm sorry. So I've got white on both sides of my brush, and I'm kind of pressing, and then I'm going into a little bit of blue, pressing. I just want a little bit. That's almost like too much. Think of like baby blue sky. You'll see it as you start painting. The only way to find out is just to start. So I'm going to start in this furthest corner. If it happens to get too dark, no big deal.
I'm mirroring the
you're
opposites?
You're going to mirror me.
Corner.
You're going to opposite the...
Okay, so here we talk about me being a lefty, and now I'm going to try doing it right.
Oh, are you a righty painter?
No. Just trying to fit in here in the
Okay.
space that we've got. So
Let's move our
get
stools.
rid of the stools. That's not happening.
So we're not sitting, we're standing. We're doing this together. Arm in arm. All right, so painting. You're going to just cover this entire canvas, and I'm darker than you are. You are much, much darker. That's okay. Add a little bit more white to it. I'm helping.
You're helping. So, am I supposed to stay in the corner? Oh, you're going all the way
So
across.
you're going to go across.
Way
so
lighter than
you
this.
want the brightest part. So less blue right here in the center. This is going to be my sunshine. So I only want blue primarily on the outer corners, and just to help, kind of pretend like this is going to be our sun ray later on. Okay?
Thank
So
you.
paint around there, and I'm going to help. Again, we're doing this together, more or less. If it gets too dark, dive into a little bit more white and just mix that into the blue that you already have, using a little bit of water, and just move that paint around, okay? The best thing about acrylic is it's not really necessarily permanent until that it's dry, so you can still keep moving, you can still keep doing its thing. Here, just, ooh, you got really dark again.
Yeah, it got
Look
really
at you.
dark. I'm handling.
Don't do what Anthony's doing. All right. Hand models. Ha! We are hand models. I'm trying to figure out a way to get these comments to stay on my screen. I can't seem to watch them. Stay. You don't have to do two. So Marcus, kind of going back to earlier, as I mentioned, we have two because we're both painting. You don't have to do two. You can just do the same exact thing across one canvas. Just pretend like this line's not here, and you are doing the same thing I'm doing with one canvas.
How far down are we coming?
You're doing this all the way around.
All the way around.
Yep.
Okay,
So the
good.
only
So
thing
I can spread out that blue a
there
little
you
bit then.
go.
Good. I was all scared I had to stay in one spot, but
Nope.
no. Okay, let's spread that out. I can get all the blue off my brush, and I can go back white and make a little bit more work with it.
Quit moving stuff.
Well,
What
you
are
know, I
doing?
paint with vigor. Very, very vigorous.
Oh, good lord. You know he's having a good time when the accent stuff starts to happen.
Yay!
Click. Ah, yeah,
Click.
thank you. Mm-hmm. We're gonna start with these fruit snacks here in a minute. Man, those are calling my name. So both of us have kind of been going at 1,000,000 miles an hour with all sorts of things. Me trying to come up with new alternative ways to make this fun for you guys from home. I've come up with a couple of kiddo versions of this. And then Anthony here runs the show as far as keeping computers going for our lovely city. So he's busy doing him. And finally, at the end of the week, we get to do this together. You didn't think this was going to be date night, did you?
We just have very different views of date night. That's all, honey.
Hey, as long as we're together. Maybe not. No? Too soon? I don't know. Alright, so I'm going around. Okay, just to show you why I'm doing this, I'm going to pull this guy off. And we're not doing the same exact thing. Pardon me for a second. Just wanted to demonstrate. So see how I've got this little section here? Essentially, that's what we're trying to create. We're making some blue sky for background sections, and then we're leaving that little pocket. So I'm going to then come back in, and I'm going to fill that in later. I don't want a green sun, so I'm not doing it right this minute. But I will come in later and add that little bit. Okay? So paint around. Pardon my arm.
Blending on my stuff. I like
Sorry.
that kind of thing that way.
Sorry. Oh, see, and someone's phone's ringing. Whoop. He's distracted, so I'm gonna go over here. Really quick.
Get off my painting! Yay! That's fine!
That's what you get.
Get it! Quit blending my stuff! Ah!
Okay, so.
I like this. Blotchy bits.
The splotchy bits. Okay,
Yes,
well,
I like
I'm
that.
sorry. I guess I should mention, you want the splotchy bits. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be any specific color. So I can even, I'm looking at one of my cameras and I can see the coloring is just a little bit off. So it doesn't have to be any specific blue. You just kind of want a sky blue. You want it to be fairly faint. You don't have to do a whole bunch. I'm going to just adjust it so we can,
Yes.
just so it's straight.
Yeah.
There's a little OCD in me that just can't handle this.
One of the things that I talk to all of our classes about when we're doing these together is one of the joys of putting the two paintings next to each other is that it gives you that great idea or the great blend of the two different styles, two different personalities, two different individuals coming together. So you have Natalie, where she really likes to blend all of her paintings and all of her colors with really beautiful blends from transitions from one color into the next. Where I like the motion. I like the emotion that comes with the choppy kind of a cut up where you get the impression of the same color. Sorry, honey. I told you, very vigorous. But then you still have the other kind of that's coming through. So we have two different styles, but kind of putting the two next to each other really looks really cool. I think it's a great effect.
Well, I'm being a rebel, so I'm over here just doing a giant line. Oh, hi, Lily. Lily says hi to Uncle Anthony.
Hello, Lily.
Is Lily painting? Lily's our little artist in our group, our Vancouver/Portland group, and then I always love seeing some of her creations. Okay, so that's me being...
So I get to throw
Random.
darker colors in there?
No, I just wanted to be a rebel. You said I have to be perfect in blending, so I decided to change it up. So now we're similar. See? See? I'm adapting.
We're going to need more wine.
All right. So, during class, I always recommend taking breaks, and this is one of those things that's going to be a little harder for us to do with live paintings, just because otherwise we're going to sit here and
Literally watch paint dry.
Pretty much.
Look at
Pretty
that.
much.
Look what I did.
I do have a hair dryer, so some of you guys that are totally are a little bit too liberal with your paint. So here's the thing. When I do this, I do lighter coats because I can always come through and I can always intensify. I can add some blue back in if I happen to lose it, if I'm not quite happy with where I'm at. But if you go in and this gets incredibly, incredibly dark and you have a lot of thick coats of paint, especially if you've got littles painting with you, they usually tend to like scoop at the stuff. It's really fun. I love it. But you will literally be sitting here waiting for your paint to dry. So if you need to speed it up at any given point, use a hair dryer and you can come through and kind of hair dry areas that are a little shiny. So the shiny spots are the ones that have wet paint in them. So if you've got little spots, you can keep trying to turn on the comments.
Yeah, I was looking. That's where this spot is up here. That's the icon up on the upper corner.
Oh, this one?
That one, yeah. I'm totally reaching across the thing. Sorry, guys.
Oh,
There you go.
they're
Turns them on.
I know, but they disappear.
Then they disappear? Okay, well, we'll keep touching it. Hey, guys.
How do you tip? So when this post is on Facebook, right at the top there is a link. So it says www.paypal.me/PourSipPaint. So it's through PayPal that you can contribute. And if you want to do it after the video, that's totally fine. It doesn't have to be right this minute. It's just a link to be able to go into my PayPal, and I'll probably share a different version that you can do that later on. But I'm fiddling, and what you don't want to do is fiddle. I usually say don't.
I know, right? Right?
We're going to do some blending. So I'm going to mix up a color, and I need to kind of shift things around
I need
for
to
this to work.
finish this little bit in here.
No for you.
There's
No, for
open
you.
spots. I don't have paint.
No for you. So we're going to come through, we're going to move our little liquid courage. I'm going to mix a little bit of color. And when I say a little bit, I just want some so that we can play. You don't want to mix all of your white with all of your red with all of your blue and have all of your colors be contaminated. Do little parts until you find your happy place with the color that you're looking for. I essentially want to make like a very pale purple. So I'm going to start with a little bit of white and I'm going to just move it over here. Let's see, can you guys see that? Oh, think you can't. All right, so I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna add a little bit of red to make it kind of pink. And this is a really pretty pink color. I might even want it a little bit more pale. And then just depending on the richness of your blue. If you've got a pale blue, then you won't need to do that quite as much. But I'm just gonna use like a tiny sliver. I'm just gonna go in just a tiny little bit of blue, and I'm gonna make kind of this purpley color. And it's going to be more, let's see, more mauve, I guess. My girls will know what I'm talking about. But
Guys, you're as lost as I am.
purple, okay? Close to purple. Again, this painting does not matter. If it's not quite there, no big deal. Now what I'm gonna do, now that this is still fairly kind of lightly wet, I'm just gonna do little crisscrosses. So crisscross, crisscross, crisscross. And I'm going to leave little pockets of blue sky showing. Now that I found my happy purple, I'm gonna make a little bit more.
Am I too dark here?
Yeah,
Lighter?
yeah, add a little bit of white to that.
Okay.
So you want this to be a very light color so that it looks like a pale purple. And some of your wet blue will kind of make that effect. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna keep doing little crisscrosses. Crisscrosses, and then I'm leaving some blue sky. Crisscrosses, crisscross, over. And I'm pressing very lightly, crisscross, 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 crisscross. And I'm gonna keep going.
Okay, let's try this.
And the idea, so when you have a cherry blossom tree, you've got pockets of blooms and blossoms, and then you have branches. So I'll start in the corner, and this will be a bigger section. Add a little bit more red to that.
A little more red.
Yeah.
Coming up.
And a little bit more white. So his is further away from the sun. His is a little bit more purple. And when you do that, if you want your two sides to look cohesive and similar, then paint on each other's sides. It's okay. You can kind of play along together.
Or do we need to mix one batch of
No,
colors?
no, it's fine.
Okay.
You can play musical chairs and switch seats for a second if you want to. This is kind of a fun way to mix it up. But I'm just doing these little crisscross motions. And oh my goodness, I hope some of you guys, if there are two of you in a room, maybe one of you take pictures of this process, because it is hilarious to see after the fact, and like it's kind of fun to see the transition that this is all taking. I really, really hope you guys post those pictures. I would love to see them. It's one of the saddest parts for me about doing paint crates. So you get all your supplies sent to you, your video you watch at home, and you kind of do this entire process like we are together in the comforts of your own home, but then I never get to see your work, and I never get to watch it transform and have you guys go through this. So I'm not scared of getting close to this area. I'm kind of getting in there.
Good to go.
And I'm leaving big pockets. So it's not like I've got little ones, I'm leaving some big ones. Because maybe there's a branch that's growing right there, but it's not quite covering in this direction. Maybe it's coming from here. So I'm just gonna keep going.
I'm running out of paint.
It's okay, I've got some. I'll share. I think we're being too serious. Okay, let's see. Anybody have questions? I want to make sure I'm answering questions.
Okay, let's see if I can look up here.
We good?
Thank you, Brandy.
Thank
this one's
you.
for you.
Except that's totally misspelled, but close.
Hey.
Clink. Thank you. Appreciate you. You know what? I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, I didn't really rinse my brush. I've just been using more water because the blue that we used for our sky, we were technically using when we were making our pink. So I didn't even bother rinsing my brush. So if you did, awesome. Love you. Thank you, Brandy. Appreciate you. If you did rinse, great. You're overachievers. If you didn't, no big deal. Marcus, you're drinking too much. Your purple looks red. You know what? That's awesome too. Cherry blossom trees, depending on the light, can look whatever color they want to look, so no big deal. We're probably going to actually transition to red later anyway, unless you're talking about drinking wine and painting with the wine, in which case I can't help you, but good on you. I'd love to see what you come up with at the end. Sipping makes this way more fun. Okay, so I'm going in here, reloading a little bit more. I stopped because I got distracted with drinking, because that's why we're here, right? We're here to like have cocktail hour. Indoor contained cocktail hour. Granted? when you're recording, you can't make a fool of yourself because just people still watching.
Oh, I'll try. That's not gonna stop me from trying.
So Anthony's got his little tree contained over there.
All the way around?
I'm kind of spreading out, creating little branches off of the main segment here. But if you don't, no big deal. I'm just gonna keep painting here.
For those of you out there like me, and I know there's plenty of you, this is a whole lot harder when you don't have something else to look at to,
To have a reference.
to reference off of.
You know what though? I decided to do it this way because there's less comparisons. Way too many people are like, oh, it's supposed to look like this and mine doesn't look like that. You know what? Who cares? We're here to paint. Just paint. Whatever happens, happens. This is your own version. No big deal. I'm moving on to his side over here because he's too slow, so
I'm out of white. One of my favorite things about Natalie's classes and the way that she teaches, though, is that where's the extra paint? There.
Right there, next to you.
Is that
Literally next to you.
there's a lot of things that we do as we're going through the class that people always ask me, "Are you sure? Mine doesn't look like it's supposed to look yet." It's like, that's right. Just have faith. Keep going. It'll come together later.
Mm-hmm.
And so doing it like this, I really like because then it allows even more of that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Where we're just painting, we're going, and I'm not quite sure where we're going to land, but you know what? I'm here. Have faith, right? What's, rule number 1?
Huh?
You forget your own rules.
I know.
Rule number 1.
I'm literally like, wait, what are we talking about?
Step 2.
I usually do not drink when I'm painting,
Step
so
2.
I apologize now.
You used to say rule number 1 was commit.
Oh yeah.
Get in, just keep going, keep painting,
No
keep
wonder
coming
you're
along,
out of
and
it.
eventually it's going to keep coming, it's going to get there. I know, I keep trying to do
You
the
are
thing.
using so much dark color over there. Oh my goodness. Stop it.
It's weighing on my soul.
He's dark over there, you guys. Like, really dark.
I don't know if y'all like
really
me,
fast.
but it's been that kind of week, so...
He's drinking heavily and painting heavily, so I'm over here, like, literally just waiting for him to stop, but it's not gonna happen, so I'm just gonna watch this unfold.
Okay, so use your paint then?
Huh?
Okay, well, I'm getting there.
I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for I'm taking a second so this has a chance to dry, so really, I mean...
Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're letting that dry. Okay.
So I'm taking a moment. You're not done yet, so you're not letting it dry. You're painting. Stop loading your brush.
No more?
No more paints.
Okay.
I'm taking his brush. We're just coming in
It's
here.
really dark.
That's okay. We're
Okay.
very light. So if your paint gets too dark, go really light with your brush marks. You're just gonna come in here and like lightly dab coming in here.
Okay, spread
This is
that
a
out
really,
little bit.
really pretty color though. Good
Yeah.
job, man.
I like that, and I like little bits where it had kind of like the white that was kind of still standing out in it, and I kind of like the
I'm doing
different
the same.
kinds of kind of ones in there.
Yours, like your leaves are
Okay,
growing.
use your brush.
No, I like this color.
I
Sip.
want a brush.
Sip.
Okay. I'm good with that.
Just sip. Alright. So when you're done with this process, at this point I'm going to say it's okay. Look at how much paint he has, you guys. Like, this is a no-no.
No, you started painting. I wasn't painting yet. I was still mixing.
That's a lot of paint, though. Here. Alright, so whenever you guys are rinsing,
Ruined all my paint.
you're done. Whenever you're rinsing, you're going to tap at the bottom of the cup. You're going to come through and you're going to tap, 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 tap.
Yeah. If you ain't tapping the bottom, you
Stop it.
ain't doing it right.
Stop it. There's children watching. Ugh. Can't take them anywhere. Alright, so...
I'm at home.
Oh, yeah, it's true. So you're going to rinse your brush, and what I want to do is I want to start filling in some color in the middle here. So we're going to use, hopefully, whatever white you have left over. You're going to go into a little bit of your white on both sides. So I've got it on both sides of my brush. If you notice, I don't have chunky globby paint stuff. Date night, who cares? Absolutely, this is date night. Much better. And then you're gonna go into just a tiny little bit of yellow. I always feel like for some reason if I go high pitch, people get it, like they get scared. I don't know. So anyway, I've got yellow. This is my side over here. Stay on my side. I'm just gonna paint a little bit of yellow. Try not to get into your wet blue. So if your blue is still wet, you don't want to touch that.
To the middle coming out, kind of.
Yeah, middle, like you're making your little rays.
Oh,
A
I
lot-
got mustard.
See,
There we go. I just needed to get on the other side.
Here,
A little more white.
I'll take some of yours.
Yeah, take some of mine then.
So, We're gonna kind of make your little beams kind of shine out. We're gonna do that actual like process later. This is just to fill in that middle. Try not to get into your wet blue. So if your blue is still wet, you don't want to make your toxic sky green here. We're just making a couple of rays, okay? It's coming together. Look at that. Okay, good enough. So paint, 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 and then kind of whatever's left over. You want to kind of almost do this with a dry brush. So use up paint in the middle in your hair.
Should we separate a little for a moment? Just for a moment.
No,
Oh.
that's not nice. When we're painting like this, it's hard to remember to do the edges. I don't paint the edges just because I never do. But if you guys wanted to wrap this painting around to the edges, you can also follow along and then do the edges as well.
So Natalie, I'm noticing in yours, you've got a lot of where the sun beams are kind of going over on top on that. That's kind of neat because it shows how the sun is coming in and how it sort of like bends around some of the other things you have there. The glare came out really nicely. Is that just kind of flicking it off more so than...
This is your center. So when you're doing this, you kind of want to make sure that you're starting from that middle. Yeah, see, and especially once you, remember, like my brush is, I have paint, but it's pretty clean. I don't have a lot of paint on my brush. So you want to do this at the end after you've used it all up. Use it, use it, use it, use it. And then you kind of want to pull that paint very lightly and you can do little marks.
Yeah.
Rays.
So I'm kind of coming out with it on there, but I'm applying pressure and then sort of flicking it off to the end there.
And you can come through and make these super long, but the thing is a lot of this is going to have foliage, so I don't want to do that yet. We'll do that later on.
All right.
I almost sipped my paint water. Don't do that. Don't do that. Man,
Thanks, Sherry.
we still have 56 people watching. You guys, say something. You're so quiet. It's
No,
like,
they're talking. You're just not seeing it.
I'm not watching?
Yeah, you're not watching.
I'm sorry. There's
Get that. Yeah, come up there. You can
that
get it.
doesn't... Oh, there it is. All right, so we're still going. Those of you that are just hanging back and watching this chaos unfold, thanks for being here. Those of you that are painting along, I'm sure you're focused. Don't overthink it, okay? I usually would kick you guys out of your seats at some point to take a break. I can't do that remotely, so it's okay to take a bathroom break here and there. I'll try to kind of keep going over. We get hearts!
We'll still be here and wait for you. Or, hey, better yet, if you're on your phone, take us with you.
Please don't. I'm going to take a second to sip, and I'm going to just remind you guys to let this do its thing. So the thing when it comes to acrylic paint, I've got like a fuzzy in here. If you don't let it dry in stages in between, it does at some point start to kind of cake and muddle. And what I don't want is this purple to turn like blue or to turn different colors. I want it to stay as vibrant as it can. And because we are using primary colors, in general, acrylic isn't going to be very, very bright. It's when you start to get into like the neons and you're actually buying colors the way that they are. And some of you guys that know me, I'm obsessed with magenta. Are you pouring wine on your
No,
face?
I'm not pouring. I was just comparing that, hey, that actually gets kind of close.
I was like waiting for you to go, eh.
Hey, it's the motivation that, that made this happen.
It's fine. You and Marcus are in it together, apparently. So, when you're doing this, you want to make sure that you're allowing it to dry, because if you're not letting it dry, this is going to start muddling, and then at some point you're going to start peeling paint off. And you guys, some of you have learned that the hard way over time, but just want to let it do its thing for a few extra minutes. If you have, again, that's what I was getting to. You know how much I love my magentas. My magentas are my favorite. So if you have magenta on hand, use that if you want to. If you've got some pink or hot pink, you can transition to that. What we have with primary colors will still work. It'll still get you there, but just won't be quite as vibrant. So just expect that. It's totally cool. No big deal. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're just playing here. But the best way to tell if it's wet, kind of see that little bit of like shininess here. Anthony went a little heavy-handed with his paint, and so it's going to take a few extra minutes for it to dry. Depends on how warm it is in your house. If it's warm, after a few glasses of wine, everything feels warm.
My hands are bigger than yours, so give me a minute. You know what I just realized?
What's that?
I don't know how many of you are taking this time at home to spend a little bit of time on doing some self-care. Perhaps you're watching a Beachbody video. Perhaps you're doing a little exercise there in your living room. And your own home gymnasium. That's awesome. But in every one of those, I don't know if any of you have ever seen one, but in every videos, there's all the different people that are out there. In the back, you got the buff guy that's been doing this obviously all of his life. You got the other intermediate folks. and then you have the perfect people with the awesome, perfect form, doing everything just amazing. And then there's always that one Karen over here on the side that's just kind of doing the bottom things, not quite doing it right. I just realized that in this video, that's kind of what I am. My canvas is spelled with a K, okay?
Nice. Yeah, we're not getting into exercising here. We're for sure painting. Oh, we've lost some people. Look at that, babe. You scared them all off.
Oh, they've got a group of them. They got like 6 of them all in one room. So they're doing awesome. Thank you, folks.
Yeah, so absolutely, we're totally getting your minds off of the chaos of everything else. I specifically wanted to hop on here and absolutely talk about nothing that's going on because I've been bombarded with it on Facebook and my business runs on Facebook. So it's hard for me to tune away entirely, but I want to look at pretty pictures and I want to think about all the stuff that we've got going on here. Ritz crackers just for you. All the things that I'm kind of appreciative for, like springtime almost here, like flowers that are blooming, date night with my husband, glasses of wine, and you've painted the bottle. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Look at this. This is the artiste that we are. Again,
Hey.
Open Road, Windrose. If you've never checked it out, the stuff is yummy. It's a red blend. My painting, but now he's painting on my painting.
You can't contain my art.
So we're over here being ridiculous, having a good time. If you're tuning in later at a different time, no big deal. The process is going to be the same. I would definitely recommend you checking out my Facebook page, Pour Sip Paint, and taking a look at the supply list. I listed that earlier. I didn't go into it today. I did it at the beginning of the video, but essentially you're just wanting white, yellow, red, blue, black. And we're just going to be mixing all of these colors to make all of our painting come together. It's cherry blossoms. Just thinking about all of my adventures to the lake and all the places I get to go here in a little while. I'm looking forward to it. I'm keeping it optimistic. Keeping it optimistic with my fruit snacks. He paints awesome. You know, this wine is not a total wine, unfortunately. I don't believe they ship outside of Sequim, so maybe you guys can take a trip to the Olympics. I can't even talk right now. To the peninsula and check it out. Swing through. They've got great selection of wines that they make themselves. It's a small little vineyard.
How am I the one with the strawberry and you've got a fruit snack?
This is our healthy choices.
Give me some. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
A fat treat. Funny you should say that. Oh yeah, we should have eaten too. We ordered pizza, but for the kids, so that's inside, along with the Mandalorian. We're out here painting, but it's okay. Worth it. Are you painting the bottle again?
No, we're just putting it in the shop. It's
Okay,
not
we're just
in the shop.
rambling for a second so we can let this dry. That's the only thing that's happening. I'm sorry if you're just hanging in here. This is a good excuse for you guys to run to the bathroom really quickly. Go get another bottle of wine if you run out, or margarita refill, whatever you need.
Or better yet, take pictures of what you guys are doing at home and then post them all in the comments. We want to be able to come back later on and be able to see all the different iterations of your shots.
Oh, yeah, that's a great idea. I can't look at those now, but later on.
No, we can't see them now, but we can see them later.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
Thanks, gang.
I'm totally going to compile those pictures and make a slideshow later. It's going to be awesome. So please post. I'd love to see what you guys are doing in the background. Meanwhile, we're just going to keep sipping. This is a good opportunity for you guys to donate. If you're able to, hop onto the little link that's provided in the video. Donate if you can, whatever you can. We're apparently turning this into a drinking game, so anyone that's donating in the last few minutes,
Woohoo!
clink.
We're catching up.
This tree is going to look awesome after a few more. I usually do not drink. Just for show, I'll carry a glass of wine around during the entire course of my class, but I usually don't drink it until literally the last cleanup section of my class. So this should be fun.
And many of you have told the story about how when we drink at home and we're testing out some of these things and she's trying to see just how well a big dumb guy can take instruction. I'm drinking bourbon, so about 3/4 of the way through, the wheels typically fall off, and I'm just gonna put a little birdie or maybe a little couple of birdies with a nest next to them in this thing. Maybe we can get, something else happening here. Perhaps just start hiding some other image. Things are gonna get real suggestive, so just stand by.
Oh, I love this. So we've got can't physically be with my daughter and granddaughter, but they're both on here, so it's almost the same. I love that. You know what? Thank you so much for sharing that. My whole idea behind the paint crate originally was specifically for individuals that couldn't be with us during class, whether it's because it sold out, whether it's because they couldn't make that specific date work, or if they wanted to do it with a kiddo and they weren't able to attend. There's a slew of different reasons. One of my most favorite ones is I had one of my students, they came up to me and said, I've got a girlfriend who lives in Illinois and she's not able to make it to classes, so we're so excited to do these paint crates together because then we can both sign...
Keep talking.
We can
don't
both
leave me.
sign up and we can paint together. And so what they end up doing is they order their paint crates and they paint at home, so they get to watch the video. They have all their supplies sent to them and a little instructional sheet along with instructional video, and they watch the video and they paint along, but then they're FaceTiming each other, so it's like they're being it's like being with my 11-year-old all over again, you guys. But anyway, the idea is that's what you get. He literally dropped it on the floor. How funny is that? But the idea is you have an excuse to get together and do something when you can't physically be together. You can at least do an activity together, from afar. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm really... Oh, Jocelyn's husband's drinking bourbon too. Vodka. Good choice.
Man of my own heart. So what do you think, honey? How am I looking dry enough?
I think we're good.
I think we can keep moving.
I think we should move on. Okay, so I gave it a few minutes. Anthony's is still just a little teeny tiny bit wet, but we're gonna just avoid this little zone over there,
we're gonna come
which
back
is
to it.
totally fine because the main focus is going to be kind of the center here. You want to make sure that that's dry. If you need to run a hair dryer over it, do that now. But I'm gonna kind of focus on bringing in some really vibrant colors. So the best way to do that, cherry blossoms are mostly pink and white. I wanted the purple because this is our shadow. So we always paint shadow first and then we bring it all forward. And a lot of this is going to get covered up and we're going to bring in a couple of branches. There's not going to be a giant fat tree. Now, to your disappointment or maybe to your benefit. I don't know. It depends on how much you've had to drink. We're going to come in here. We're going to add a couple of branches. And then we're going to come in and add little, when I say branches, we're going to add the flowers. We're going to come in and actually paint the branches connecting these flowers totally later on. So for now, back to the big brush. This is primarily what we're going to be using today. And I'm going to get in here and I'm going to use some water. You might need a white refill. I'm loading my brush with lots of white. Teeny tiny. This is his second time reloading his palette. Some people are heavy-handed. That's totally fine.
Bust me out on everything tonight, aren't
Yep,
you?
pretty much it.
No getting away with anything in this class.
I think it just makes people feel better. They're not the only ones. It's like, seriously, are you eating the paint over there? Good for you.
Yes. Let's go with that.
So I made it, sorry, I can't see over there. So I made like this pretty pink. I mixed my white with a little bit of red. I made this pink, and then we're just gonna come in here and I'm gonna just tap. So when I do this, I'm tapping irregularly to make a couple of branches because all of this here is going to be blossoms, and I'm just gonna tap, tap, bring in a couple, tap, tap, bring in a couple.
So it looks like you're using the corner of your brush.
Yep. So I'm using this corner, I'm kind of just
And we're
pressing.
kind of going in horizontally with it more. So
So
than
they're
anything
growing
else.
towards the middle. Like pretend you're laying on the ground and you're looking up at these branches. So you're just tapping in and making, and reload as you need it.
Yeah.
And some of this is going to then get kind of, it's going to disappear. It's not going to be this color once we add next layers over it.
Right.
But then I'm just kind of keep blending this out. I did a version of this a long while ago where it was like a nighttime sky and we had a moon and then there was trees. There were more evergreens growing towards the center. So this is kind of similar to that, but cherry blossom version. And Anthony, you're doing such a great job. I'm going to grab a sponge. So you keep working. I'm going to grab a sponge because I want to...
She's so fast. Oh no, I totally understand what everybody else is always having issues with. But how does she do that so easily? Trust me, it is no easier for me either.
The sponge will make it a little bit easier. So I have these craft sponges. If you have just like a regular old, I usually like the ones from Trader Joe's. They're like super, I don't know. They've got a lot of those little grooves and holes in them. This is a craft sponge, so you can use a craft sponge if you happen to have one. I'm gonna just tear this up.
Can you bring it a little bit further up here in
I
the
just
middle
tore it in
where they
half.
can see? But on the dark, it's harder to see. So if you bring
Sorry.
it here in front of the light color,
Okay.
they can see it better.
So you just want a sponge that's got some of these little grooves in it. If you've got an old kitchen sponge, great. If you don't have one, you can just stick to what we're doing here. This just makes it a little bit faster. But if you're dabbing, this has kind of similar texture where it's making all of these little branches pop up. I get lazy. I don't want to do this anymore. So I'm going to mix up some water, some white, some red to make my little pink, but I'm going to make quite a bit because these sponges are very, very absorbent. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to then take a spot that has lots of these little holes. So maybe rotate to find a part of your sponge that does that too. And then you're going to get in here.
Slow down. That's a good one right there.
That's
Yeah, I like that one.
So you're just going to kind of scoop it. Maybe a little bit more. Scoop it so you've got it in your little sponge here. And then you're just going to...
Oh, look who's cheating!
See? And then you're making all these little flowers and these little branches without having to do too much work. Okay? And then you're just going to... You can even take... Some of this is still wet. You can just keep in here and keep dabbing.
A very, very wise man many years ago told me, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying hard enough.
Okay, well, it's not cheating. It's a tool. It's in our arsenal. It was in my supply list. Can I have some more white now? I ran out. It's my
Okay.
turn.
Your turn for the white.
I'm going to just steal some that's on my brush here. But,
Ooh, excuse me.
and if you don't want to mix it, so one of the other fun things is like I scoop some white, dab it off. I go into some red, dab it off. And I'm just going to
Mix them up.
I'm going to use that. So now you've got some patches of red, some white, and you're just going to...
Hey, that's my speed. Some dabs of white. Some dabs of red. Sorry, guys, my palette's off camera.
So he's over there doing his messes over there.
Yeah. Like I was born to do it.
So you still want it to be on the pink side. If it's too red, just go over a couple of
Pink
spots.
side. Okay.
Again, if you get too much red, just go over it with some white and it'll kind of tone it down. But I'm still leaving some of these pockets of blue. I don't want to cover all of that up.
Oh.
And I'm just dabbing. Dabbing, dabbing, dabbing.
All the way back out?
I'm leaving some of these
You're
areas
leaving a lot
out
of space
here.
open. Okay.
And I'm leaving some of the sky because I want the sky showing. I want
Okay.
some of the shadows kind of showing in here too.
I see where I'm a lot more dense. I would imagine
That's okay.
some of this part could kind of help break up some of the other paint where I've
Yeah.
been really close together with these brighter colors in front of it. Would you?
Yeah, the best part about this is that we can come back in and we can add the darker areas back in as well. So I love acrylic paint for that magic ability to go back and forth. So if you get too much red, too much white, too much whatever color, you can either wait for it to dry or you could just move on to the next color. So like out here, I gotta check for some, because anyone has questions, let me know. Oh, I love it. So I like the fact that your husband has hijacked the paintbrush. You want to make sure that you don't have to share. Nobody says that you have to share.
Marriage is not about sharing all the time.
It's about whoever is wanting to take over for the minute. Bang, no big deal. So again, I'm just mixing some color. I'm dabbing. Mixing some color, I'm dabbing. A sponge does make this a little bit easier for you. Finding a spot that, especially ones that have these little, you can cut up a sponge. So you can go in and you can literally cut it up and make little holes if you want to pluck those out. So if you don't have a craft sponge, make a sacrificial sponge. It's for the good of the arts. You can cut out or pluck out little sections if you don't have one that has all these little holes in it and grooves. Make your own, no big deal. But it'll make this little process a little bit easier. So then you can come back in and you can add a little bit of that blue to make that deep purple again. So if you lost some of your shadows, focusing, the shadows are mostly out here. So this is my light source. This is my sun. Anthony's got trees everywhere. So I'm going to focus on bringing some of the shadows back in. Yeah, that's right. You just keep sipping, babe.
Yep.
So you're just going to bring some of these back in here in between and out the outer corners.
More of the blues. Okay.
If you want to, this is not blue, this is the purple. So I have the red and the blue to make the purple mixed together. If you don't, here's another thing. You can add
a little more around the outsides of the
Yep, you can, and I would do this with a brush, like tiny little bit to your purples. You can add some black, and that'll give you a totally different color. Focusing out here, it'll be more like maroon.
Absolutely, on the far outsides, because we want those reds to be darker, farthest away from the sun.
Yep.
Okay.
So you've got your little things going on. Oh, there you go. Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, so the toothbrush is also a good option. While the toothbrush is a little bit harder to do this with, you certainly can come through and you can kind of dab with it. Mostly this is for areas like here. You can certainly get smaller little sections, but great thinking. I'm sorry, I totally forgot about the toothbrush. Toothbrush is also a great alternative for that. I was saving the toothbrush for kind of last. I've got a fun little technique that I want to do at the end, but have at it. I'm never rinsing my sponge. I just keep going back and forth between colors. So I'll even come back in and I'll just dab it into some white over here. I don't want to contaminate my white, but I'm kind of pulling it, getting some on, and then I'm going to come through. Cherry blossom trees are all about layers. So you'll have some that have like pockets of a bunch of blooms that are darker, and then you'll have some that are super bright because they're, again, near the light source, or maybe just happen to be more white than pink, and you can just keep playing. Layer, layer, layer. Although I do have to say, less is more.
Now she says this.
There's no right or wrong. I mean, some of these are going to be a little bit fuller than others. So I have a lot more blue sky showing. Maybe my main gist of my tree is like way out here. And these are just a few of the scraggly little branches that are left over. Yours just happens to be more full, but I still think it's a cool effect. You can come through and kind of tone a couple of these down if you want.
Ooh, crown apple. Marcus, where have you been all my life?
Don't tell him that I'm... Love you.
Yeah, I'm watching. I see that. I see that.
I just want it to be nice and feathery and soft. So like these little areas near the sun, we want these to be really muted.
Near the sun? You mean living on it? I mean, there's no sun left.
We don't want this to all be sunshine. It just needs to be kind of like
this is how we cover up the art we don't want to see.
Yeah, we're not painting over the entire thing.
But this part's really pretty.
It is very pretty. You're a winner, honey.
I sure am.
Doing so great. So great. I'm just glad you guys showed up. I mean, 50 people watching. This is pretty awesome. Thank you guys for tuning in. And if you are watching this later on, thanks for watching anyway. Still let me know. Comment. I would love, so part of the reason that I posted the donation tip jar thing, whatever, is because I really would love to be able to make this happen on a regular basis. I know some of us are going to be in this position, not able to attend classes for a while, and it helps me to be able to provide the service. It feeds our need for time together, and it just makes my life a little bit easier. So I appreciate the donations. I'd really love to continue to be able to offer this kind of class style for weeks to come. I don't know that it would be necessarily every Friday night, but I kind of like the idea of Friday night, date night, paint night, whatever you want to call it. So I appreciate donations that are coming in. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you for the likes and the hearts and all the love. I don't know, I guess I'm lucky to be doing what I'm doing and getting to have fun at the same time.
Oh, you're rinsing your
I
sponge.
am just rinsing.
You can't see your sponge on the
It's okay.
Camera.
You don't have to. I just happened to because it was driving me crazy and I didn't have anything else to do at the moment.
Okay. I'm rinsing my sponge too now.
It's keeping my hands busy at the moment. So I did rinse off a little bit. You don't have to rinse it. And if you're home, I obviously still have pink on my paintbrush. But I suppose now is a good time to rinse. So again, tapping at the bottom of the cup when you're rinsing, tap, 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 swirl around.
Date night.
I think we're getting close, so I'm going to give this just a quick minute here. I'm going to talk about a little bit about branches. So the main part of our tree, there isn't like a giant tree trunk in here. Think of these as, again, you're laying on the grass, you're kind of, looking up at the sky, up this direction, and you're going to have some beams that are coming out in different directions. But really all you're going to see is a couple of branches, maybe find a focal point. So maybe it's right kind of in this general area. Not that this is going to be my tree trunk, but it's in here. And you're going to have a lot of your branches kind of trailing in, coming this direction, starting from here, kind of going out. And the same thing, Anthony's, I'd almost say, like maybe his tree needs to be like here so it can grow different.
Oh no, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off at all, sweetheart. My pardon. But when doing two canvases next to each other, I really like how you just said like that, how you starting one from down here, and then the other one starting here wouldn't quite look right. I think that if it's coming from this, I think that makes a really cool balance that kind of have the sun in the middle there like that. That works out really well.
I wanted to get really cheesy and like have our branches form like a heart, so the center is a heart.
No.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep away from the cheesiness of it all. So we're gonna just leave it as it is. But if you guys are feeling the love tonight, you can add that little heart. So that's up to you, and that's just a matter of making sure that when you're painting in. Those of you tuning in, I guess that would be a better option. Those of you that are in this already, you're stuck. Commitment, right? Are we trading? What are we doing?
No, I'm just trying to bring that.
So you're going to come in and you can kind of shape your branches going around here to turn it into a little bit of a heart.
See, Natalie can't quite see all the comments that I can see coming up. Laura asks, is this going to be available on YouTube later?
So this will be available on Facebook kind of indefinitely. This is just a regular live video that gets saved into the archives of Facebook, so you can tune back in here if you want to watch it again. Did we tap? Did we lose this? Why is it fuzzy?
No, I still see us in there.
Okay.
Good to go.
Okay.
Nope.
So you can continue to watch it on Facebook. You can rewatch it on Facebook. You can share. It just gives an easier way for us to be able to see people that are tuning in than YouTube. I do not have a YouTube channel yet. I would love to get one, and that's kind of in the works. We actually are playing with. I say we, but I mean I'm working with the idea of doing Zoom next week. So that's kind of a more of an interactive application process with this, so you can actually have people tune in, and as you're painting at home, you can then have a little video going of you, and I can kind of toggle back, and you guys can actually ask questions live. So it's a little bit more of an interactive process. I don't know how I feel about it myself just yet, just because I don't know that Anthony's going to be able to join me every time as much as I would love for him to. He has a very busy schedule, and it's hard for me to paint, watch the video, answer comments, and so on and so forth. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. If you guys are having fun, again, the only way for me to know is for you to let me know. If you can comment, if you can message me after the fact, if you email me, any of those will be really, really helpful for me to get some positive feedback if you're having a good time. I'd love to make it happen. So YouTube, sure, coming at some point. I don't know that it's going to be right away. I would love to make it available, but in the meanwhile, you guys can do this at home anytime. You can do this on Facebook. You can kind of tune back in, find it on my page, and continue to watch. Let's see, my daughter says you can call it Date and Paint. Ooh, that's cute. I love that. Date and Paint. That is totally what we're calling it next week. Thank you so much for that. Your painting doesn't look anything like mine. You know what? That is A-okay. Like I say, it does not have to look like mine whatsoever. Some of it comes together kind of at the end. I like the idea for girls' night for you guys to do this remotely, kind of even if one of you wants to do it, as a space that some of you can get together. I'm not going to promote that because I know we're not supposed to, but one of you does it at a house and you're watching it, kind of doing it together with a girlfriend or two. I love that idea. Other questions? Again, I'm stalling here for a second because Anthony had to go answer a phone call, but also, thanks so much, Marcus. I'm so glad you're having fun. I do want to give this a nice kind of amount of time to dry, because the thing that happens with some of these areas, if you start to go in and paint branches, the branches are going to be dark, so it's a little bit more silhouetted. And if you dive in here and you start painting branches and you're like, whoa, that branch got too big, it'll be harder for you guys to erase and make adjustments than if you just waited for this to dry and then came back in, because the magic of acrylic paint is you can't tear off a little piece of paper towel and you can kind of smudge and move things around. So just to give a quick demonstration, paper towel, I know my water is murky, gross, or whatever, but I don't know, some of these little areas are maybe still wet. Let's say like in the center here, this is a good area to kind of scrub away. Take notice that Anthony's not here and I am wiping this off of his canvas. I'm curious if he's going to watch this again later. But anyway, you get the idea. Using a little piece of paper towel, some water, and you can kind of scrub away a couple of areas. You can't do it quite as easily if this is still wet, and if we're starting to go in and paint our branches, it's going to turn it into a mucky mess really, really fast. So I don't want to do that. I'm just stalling for a quick minute so this can dry, giving you guys a second to run to the bathroom again, take a minute, take a break, get a refill, get a snack. How are you guys? I don't know, I'm just curious. So what is everyone doing this weekend? So Anthony's got, we have twins that are 19. Their birthday was yesterday. Sadly, we weren't able to celebrate with them, so we're trying to see if we can do something fun. But at the same time, it's really hard to do something fun together when we really can't do things together. So trying to figure out what we're going to do this weekend. Plan maybe a trip to go somewhere, do something. For you guys, what are you up to this weekend? Anyone doing anything fun? Spring cleaning? Oh my gosh, I have been spring cleaning all weekend. I've been in my garden, so I have no excuse to not have a decent garden and have something going on. So people are having a great time. I'm so excited you guys are having fun. So again, what are you guys doing this weekend? Anything fun? I just was asking the question if anyone was doing anything exciting this weekend. Mm-hmm. We were trying to come up with something to do for a birthday celebration.
Gazelle is spring cleaning. Tammy has to go clean out his dorm at OSU. Yeah, I know the number of us have to go do the same thing. I've got to head back up to Bellingham sometime soon to help clean out a dorm up there as well. So we're all our hearts are with you.
You might have to add another bottle. Man, look at us. Let's go.
I'm taking it.
Aww.
Yeah.
All right, that means you go inside and get another one.
That means it's time for bourbon.
No, I'm not drinking bourbon. Then I take this glass. So I'm going to double fist it, you guys. This is about to get fun.
Like she always do.
Anyway, so again, I'm stalling just for a few minutes to give this a chance to dry, giving you guys a minute to grab a snack and run to the restroom if you need it. Again, you guys are welcome to use a hairdryer. I'm trying my best not to do that just because it'll make a whole lot of noise and that's not going to be fun. Oh man, I'm really curious about the quality of how this is bottle number 2. Absolutely. I'm curious how the color quality turns out. Some of these Facebook videos are really, really not my favorite, and so I'll take a picture at the end so you actually get the feel of what the color saturation actually needs to be. So there you go. Quality okay. I'm curious. And it kind of looks good. Jessica, you guys are so cute. I love the fact that you come and do these regularly with me. I'm sorry that we couldn't be together tonight. I so appreciate all of your support, though. You have no idea how much, I don't know, I guess it makes it worth my while to put in the effort to come up with new paintings for you guys when you love it as much as I do. And he's back with a second bottle. That's not bourbon. That's wine. Ooh, what is that anyway?
Tonight we're going to be drinking 19 Crimes, The Uprising. It's a new wine that I saw. It looked kind of interesting because the story is that The Uprising, a new wine aged for 30 days in rum barrels, so that kind of felt kind of neat.
Yeah.
That's what got my attention.
Mm-hmm.
It pays homage to Australia's rum rebellion of 1808. Due to governors hindering of the rum trade, the rebellion was the only time the group of citizens banded together to overthrow the government. And they committed them all in 19 crimes.
That's fun.
And so it all has to do with Australia's prohibition era. So I figured it was worth a try. So we're going to try something new.
Yeah, we're not being sponsored or anything, but thank you for sharing that. That's really funny. I pick up my wine by wine labels, so if they're fun, then I will go for it. Anthony likes the story, so we're over here kind of experimenting. I'm all for it. And I was just mentioning how it's best to wait to let this dry, because if we're going to be making branches and we have any kind of happy accidents, quote unquote.
Drink!
Oh, Bob Ross.
Bob Rossisms. For those of you who are joining us now, we always like to play a little game with Natalie's paint classes, where anytime that she uses a Bob Rossism, a phrase frequently used by the late, great Bob Ross, such as our fluffy little clouds, or happy trees, or our majestic mountains, right? That's a big one. Always, everybody needs to raise their glass.
So we're turning into another drinking game, as if we didn't have enough. Okay, so I was mentioning that it needs to dry. If we come in and we start to do branches and we need to make any kind of adjustments, it'll be a little bit easier to do that if it is dry, because some of this can be wiped away if we get in here, and especially with darker colors. So I'm going to forewarn you, we're going to make brown. I didn't have you guys buy brown. Again, if you have brown on hand, you certainly can use it. I wanted to demonstrate that you can mix it with our primary colors. So I'm shifting my canvases down just a little bit further, so I have room to mix it up here, and I've already stuck my canvas in my yellow. But the best way to make it, I kind of like to mix a little bit of my yellow, and I'll make enough so that Anthony can have some of this too. But a little bit of yellow, a little bit of red, so you kind of are making like an orange, and then you're going to gradually add a little bit of black to that. And that should be a very poopy brown. If it's too...
Very poopy.
If it's a little on the poopy side, you want to add a little bit more red to it. And
Ooh, that's not right.
Stop it. So add some red to it, and it'll make it a little bit more on the brown chocolate, like milk chocolate spectrum.
You're not making it any better.
I'm going to keep adding colors. You know what? This is for you too, so you better be nice. Thank
you, honey.
You're welcome. So if you add the yellow, it kind of makes it like really baby poop brown. So add some red. And then some black. Stop it. And if all else fails, you can make your tree trunks gray. Use white and black and just make them gray. Make it kind of, I don't know.
Oh, but then you'll be missing out on all the fun.
So in the meanwhile,
let me come play in your brown.
My brown. It's brown. Look.
It is brown. It's beautiful brown.
You can add more or less black to make it deeper, richer, darker. So.
My nurses out there would call that Terry.
Ew. I think there's a couple of those actually on here that would totally understand that comment. Yes, we do. Yeah.
Okay.
Alright, so I've got this. So again, think about where your tree trunk is if we're going to play this game, and my tree's here-ish and his is up there. This feels funny. A lot of your branches are going to kind of cascade out from this area. Okay. So you can start, if you need to mark it, I don't know, put your cup here.
Oh, there's an idea. That's great. I like that.
And then you can come in and you can very lightly kind of press and pull out, making a couple. I'm not doing all the way through, so I'm leaving some gaps in between, because some of these blossoms are going to be right in front of that branch. So make one here, maybe make another one here. And I start further because this is where my branches are starting from. They're going to be wider, and then very, very light touches. If you need to, if you're having a hard time with these being thin, you can use your smaller detail brush. I'm using my medium-sized round brush. I forgot to mention that, I'm sorry. And then I'm going to kind of come in here, and I'm just doing a couple, and I leave gaps, because again, blossoms, some of these spots are growing right in front. And you can add, if it's not showing up, you can add just a tiny little bit more black.
Oh, I like how you spread those out. That's kind of cool.
So you can trail out and have a couple of branches growing from it, like that. right? How cute does this start to look? Hot messes and all come together.
She means mine.
No comment. Kidding. All else fails, you can always add a couple more blossoms later on, but just kind of trail through. Make a couple of these. See, it's coming together. Aw, honey, they look so good. Good job. Make sure, this is a great example, make sure that you're actually starting these off the canvas, because otherwise it looks like there's like a floating branch here.
Ha, good point.
Kind of want to start them somewhere. Like this little guy, maybe he's attached
Probably
here.
mix them together back here. I like that idea.
Okay, sure.
Then kind of
Fatten it up.
That way, and that way, that way, and that way. Yeah.
We can even have one down here somewhere, dropping off the canvas. Some of these can,
Ooh, I like some of this. That's kind of good.
a little bit darker. So you can play around. My version over here has a little bit more black, where this is a little bit more chocolatey. This is more like dark chocolate over here. You can add a couple of darker zones here and there. It just gives it highlights and shadows back and forth. So I'll usually go through with a light tone first.
Yeah.
And then I'll go over with some dark here and there. Keep it minimal. Less is more. You always want to do like bare minimal, because you can add more as you're going along. You can switch to your little liner brush at some point, and you can do like, from here you can add just a couple of little guys and make this really branchy. But I kind of like the simplicity, so that there's like some branches, but it's not the main focal point. The focal point is hopefully here the sun in a minute or so, and all of these beautiful little blossoms. We're getting close here. If you want to, again, depending on how much time you guys have, after we do this video, there's going to be a lot that's going to be up to you guys, that you can kind of keep adding, keep playing. I'm going to say less is more, but I know most of you are going to keep fiddling with it and keep fussing. You can take it to whatever level you wish. So if you then want to go back in and you want to add white with a little bit of your brown, and you want to do like full-on highlights in some of these areas, you can then add some of that texture. It just makes it, add some depth, makes it look like there's bark on those trees. There's so much. So keep playing. You guys can add as much as you want. I kind of say leave that towards the end, because some of this is going to get covered up here in a minute again. This is a good time for you guys. If you feel like you didn't get enough colors, you can come in and you can add so much more color. But before that, my flat brush is nice and dry, and it has been for a long time. Maybe I lied, maybe there's not quite. So you want to make sure that it's clean. So rinse and then wipe, and then wipe on both sides, so that it's nice and clean and dry. So my brush, nice and dry, right? I don't have a whole lot of color going on. And what I want to do is I'm going to go into a little bit of white, tiny little bit of yellow. So dry brush technique is really just that. You're dry brushing your color on. So I've got a little bit of white, a little bit of yellow, mostly white. Sorry, you want this to be light. So I've got this paint almost too much. So I'm going to squeeze it out, kind of squeezing it on my palette. So what you want is you want all of these bristles. You want to be able to see these bristles, so that there's barely any paint on here, mostly just this clean brush. And then what you're gonna do, remember we talked about those streaks? Be careful, if your brown is really, really wet, you don't wanna do in those areas, because you're gonna have brown sunbeams, and we don't want that. But you're gonna start, so remember this was our center here, and you're gonna do those little beams of light.
Okay.
Starting there, and you can kind of very lightly, you want it to be transparent. So try not to make these like solid color or anything like that. You're just doing really, really dry brushed effect. Yep. Go even further. Don't be scared. There, perfect. I love it. Keep going. And some of them you can do like very, very faint. Some of them can be prominent, and then you can even feather it out a little bit more. So my brush is pretty clean here.
That's typically how I would do something like this, is put them down and then use water or just a clean brush.
Well,
I don't need water.
you can use your paper towel and you can kind
Yeah.
of wipe it all
to
away.
kind of get it off, and then kind of come back and
Feather it away.
feather it off, right? And then get the effect.
Honey, look how pretty it looks.
Absolutely.
I love it. Good job. So just to give it a little bit more oomph, you can come back in and you can go in with some white, and you can add little bits of white.
Sponging again. Okay.
Sponging. Yeah, I like to add that little bit even more highlight. So all of these ones, because this is really where all that sunshine is, you barely want any color there. And it helps with a couple of areas where we just did these branches, tone some of them down. Sorry, I just realized I haven't read
We haven't even been looking at the comments for a while.
It looks like a drunk guy was painting. That's good.
Hey, I have a feeling that a drunk guy did paint it, so that kind of works out.
So the whole thought behind this, and the reason that I was totally cool with offering this, for free without any kind of charging or anything like that, is I want you guys to take this as like an opportunity to practice. So sure, it's not going to be exact, it's not going to be perfect, no big deal, but you're learning a couple of things, and maybe you're gonna wake up tomorrow a little bit more sober and try to do this again. You can paint this as many times because the video is still going to be there. You can watch it again and again and again, and hopefully master this to your own level, your own degree. The thought is just making it fun, playing around. Who cares? It doesn't have to look perfect.
Let's drink and move some paint around.
Right? See, you guys, it gave you something to do on a Friday night. You have an excuse to sit and veg, tune in. If you're just watching for the sake of sipping, good for you.
Where else are you gonna go?
You're stuck with me. So remember, you want to keep away from using a lot of color.
Yeah, I realized I didn't try to get all that out. So
here, this should mostly be whites, and
I tried to make it white, but I wanted a little bit of pink, and that just didn't work the way I wanted it at all.
why is all the white gone?
Because you used all my white.
I used it. I haven't touched your white.
Y'all can't see it, but she totally took all my white.
So make sure you've got plenty of paint. Obviously, we barely used any blue, barely used any white. But now you know.
And knowing is half the battle.
And half the fun. There's no battles in this. This is fun.
G.I. Joe.
Oh no, we're back to that. I didn't grow up on that. You know what we watched? We watched Gargoyles yesterday. I was so excited. I grew up on that show, and I introduced it to my 11-year-old now that Disney Plus has it. It was fun.
I was 23 when that show debuted.
You're aging yourself, honey.
No, I'm totally kidding. I'm not
I was
23.
gonna say,
I'm
I
totally
watched
playing.
that as a kid.
I'm totally playing. Totally playing. But ooh.
But so true.
Now this time it's got an olive.
Are you putting your forehead in the video? I bet your forehead's in there. That's okay. All right. So I think I'm at a happy place. If you guys want to keep adding to it, if you want to keep kind of manipulating this, I kind of leave the rest up to you. But one of the last little things that we do is artistes. What do we do, honey? You want to tell them?
We sign our painting.
We sign our painting. So there you go. I want to make sure that you guys are... I'm answering questions. So while I'm still in here, ask questions if you have them. Let me know how you guys are doing. Check in with me. If this is after we've done the live video, you can still message me on Facebook. I can't promise that I'm going to respond right away, but I'll try to do my best to answer any kind of questions that come up. Oh,
yeah, the toothbrush.
I forgot about the toothbrush. This is kind of an afterthought because I loved using these so much. We used to do all of our little splatter stuff with paint brushes, but then I bought all of these silly, cheap little toothbrushes, and I'm like obsessed with them. I think about whenever you have cherry blossom trees and the wind starts to blow and all those little petals start to fall, and it's the little princess in me. I like having petals fly everywhere, and it makes me happy. So
Like a John Woo movie.
So I go in and I grab my toothbrush. I add tons of water. So you want to like create a puddle of water, and you're adding little bits of white to the puddle so that you've got all this little bits of paint in here. And then you can you want to use your thumb, trying to keep this discreet. We don't want it everywhere, but you can kind of come in and you can flick this stuff. It adds kind of a fun little leaf effect as well. And just kind of in the center. Doesn't have to be everywhere.
I don't know if that's coming through
Oh,
on the
probably
video, folks. So if you can see it, it's just adding the littlest droplets. I'm letting you move across the whole thing to do it, honey. Adding the littlest droplets that are in here, then this kind of area. She's got those little ones that are falling all around.
It just makes it look a little bit more magical. You can do this exact process. Whoa.
Jeez, usually I'm the one doing that.
Don't do that. Anyway, that's what happens when you get overzealous. So you don't want to overload this with too much paint. I was hoping that it would give me more paint so you guys can see it better, but don't do that. Take your time, but kind of spray it in there because it's kind of fun. It gives it some of that little bit of highlights. Maybe it's the little fuzz that's floating because you know when you've got rays of sun coming through, you can see all the little bugs and fuzz that comes through. Maybe it's that.
And remember, you're pulling towards you in this direction. If you go the other way and you're pushing out, it's all going to come up in your hand.
Oh,
so
I wasn't going to tell them that and let them experience it for themselves. That's always fun.
Well, it's a lot more fun when you have people sitting on the opposite side of the table, because then as you start doing it, then the paint starts getting all over everybody. Mm-hmm. That's way more fun.
Well, but kind of keep flinging, keep going, and then you're getting paint on you.
I know, you're getting paint all over me, honey. Thank you.
Me?
Yeah, I blame you. I'm drinking. What do you expect?
Anyway, so keep flinging, keep playing. You want to sign your work, so I usually do it with a paintbrush. You kind of want to use whatever color is going to be kind of playing along with this. I might actually use, you can use a little bit of pink, so it looks like one of the petals, and you can kind of write it in here. If you have a wide branch that's coming in here, you can carve your kind of initials in it. You can make it super cute and personal. I am resorting to just paint. And you just want to come in here, sign it.
Wow.
This is my drunken signature.
I'm not near so cool as you are. You used the little tiny one or the middle one?
I used the little brush. Oh, that was off camera too, I think.
Oh, yeah, they didn't get to see any of that. That was awesome. Do it again up on this side so they can see it.
I'm going to just come in. Oh, that's a lot of water.
That's water. Come on now.
Obviously, my wine is kicking in, so I, on that note, should probably get off this video.
I'm a kicker off the video. Absolutely. Thanks, y'all.
Oh, man. So thank you so much for tuning in. I had a blast. Hopefully you guys did too. And again, I appreciate your guys' support. I appreciate you tuning in, letting me know if you're having fun. I would love to do this again, and hopefully I can beg and plead my husband to join me again. Way more fun to have somebody.
I don't know. We'll see how many tips we got.
So I really hope that you guys had fun. I really hope that this is one of those things that you can interact with other people and, you know, I don't know, make something that's your own. This tree does not have to be pink. Here was an idea that I thought about, but then I never said it because I inevitably forget. If you love this version, this can be easily replicated using yellow and blue to make green. So this could be a springtime tree that you can then have a second set and do a summer tree. And if you have two canvases, one person can do half. That was actually the thought that I was originally going to do. One of us could have done the springtime, and then the other half can be the summertime version. So another alternative for those of you that decide to do another one.
Yeah, that would be neat.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, so Lois, whenever you get a chance, thanks so much for tuning in, but I know you're going to come up with something absolutely great too. Just ideas as we're coming through at the end, you know, do a wintry scene one. I mean, we can do one for all the seasons. It's pretty easy. You can... What?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was just kind of going with what you're saying. Absolutely. One with all the seasons. It would be really neat. You could do each of them individually and then have all four going around. You could have a summer one up here, a winter one, a spring one, and a fall one. It would be kind of neat to...
If you're going to do that, I would definitely recommend doing square canvases. So, you know, just doing like a regular... And you can do this with kiddos. This is one of my favorite little things to do. Doing small 6x6, 8x8 size canvases and do the same thing. Just, you know, like Anthony said, put your sunshine in the middle, and then you're just going to do your branches all the way through. Yep.
And then have 1, 2, 3, 4 panels, and then have each of the different seasons. That would have been great. That's an awesome picture.
So I was really just living by the cherry blossom idea, but no one says that you can't do it any other way. If you've got your colors already pre-mixed, if you've got pinks, if you've got greens, whatever, great. But I wanted to use, this is an easy way to use regular standard colors that come in like one of those cheapy little sets, white, yellow, red, blue, black, and then all these colors can be mixed together. So yellow and blue can make green. Obviously yellow and orange and red can make orange, so on and so forth. So you guys can keep playing, and then your winter tree can just be barren without any leaves. So just an idea. Oh, still couldn't figure out how to tip. Okay, so again, in the video, once we're done, in the video comment right above it, it said live, and then there's a little color palette. Right underneath that, it said virtual tip jar, and there's a link. So the link may not be active. You may just have to copy, paste it into your website or web page, and go to that. It's just a regular PayPal opportunity.
Copy the link and put it in the address address bar, so you can copy the URL, place it in there, and then be able to get straight to the page. At that place is where you're able to actually do your payment. Okay, fantastic. Maybe next time we'll do a little bit better at trying to throw that link through a spot where everybody can click on it. But we'll make it for you. And yeah, this was a lot of fun. I really appreciated coming in and having a good time with it. Guys, loved interacting with everyone at home. Marcus, I expect to see you next time, buddy.
Oh, you know what? Here, can we...
Yeah, let's flip the camera. Hold on.
No.
I can flip the camera first.
Oh, okay, now you can...
That's the wrong one. There we go.
There
we are.
Sorry, guys. Okay, so it was a really close-up, but we wanted to say thank you so much. We appreciate you greatly. It was so much fun, and we wanted to make sure that we gave you something to look forward to. So I wanted to say maybe next Friday we'll do this again, so you have something to look forward to. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I hope you keep creating, keep finding excuses to do things together, even if you can't do it together. Oh my, that's my drunken adjustment back there, just so you know.
Oh, that was actually...
Yeah, right? So
how dare you.
I wanted to give you guys an excuse to do something. So whether you do this again and you do this in a way that it's, I guess you can do like FaceTime or something like that. So
Absolutely.
So, you know, do a video together with your friends, and you know how to do it, so you should be able to make it through. I love the fact that I'm seeing comments. Again, please post your pictures. I don't care.
We'd love to see them all. Absolutely.
I mean, here, we'll do this really quickly. So you can see, if you can see, we have to trade.
We got to trade?
Yeah, no, and I learned this the other day. No.
Okay. Oh, okay, no, straight back.
No,
What?
Stop.
What? Oh, yeah.
So you kind of get the idea. So this was us painting together. We made our little trees. Stop. Thank you. I'm so happy you guys had fun. I would love to say that we can do this again next week on Friday night. So join us for a paint date. Is that what it was?
Paint date. I like that idea. So just because we gotta stay in our own places and a little social distancing doesn't mean we can't be together.
See?
Absolutely love it. Thanks a lot, guys.
We're going to keep sipping, so I hope you guys are sipping at home too. Post pictures of that as well. I don't really care. I am just happy to be socializing with people, so. Have a great one. Thank you so much.
Good night, everybody.
Look at me, I'm an artist. Bye, guys.